But Friday morning, when Hollowgate called asking for Randy specifically, she'd learned the difference between managing people and managing relationships. Thursday night I couldn't sleep, not from worry, from anticipation. Helen found me in the kitchen, at 2 a.m., sitting with a cup of coffee and my laptop. "You're planning something," she said, "just thinking." She sat down across from me. 22 years of marriage taught her when to push and when to wait. This was a waiting moment. "Jessica called earlier," I finally said, left 3 voicemails. What did she want? Details about the Hollowgate presentation? Helen smiled. She'd been there for every late night. Every weekend. I'd spent building those client relationships. She understood what I'd built better than anyone. What did you tell her? Nothing. I'm not her employee anymore. That was when it hit me. The full scope of what Jessica had done. She hadn't just fired me. She destroyed 15 years of institutional knowledge, client preferences, technical specifications, relationship dynamics that took years to develop. The Hollowgate account wasn't just about a presentation. It was about trust built through dozens of smaller interactions, like remembering that their lead engineer preferred technical drawings over flowcharts, or knowing that their CEO made decisions based on implementation timelines, not cost savings. Jessica thought she could wing it, show up with a standard pitch deck and charm her way through $30 million in business. She had no idea that Hollowgate's team would be expecting the detailed technical breakdown. I'd promised them the one that existed only in my head and in notes they'd never find. I opened my laptop and looked at my calendar. Hollowgate was scheduled for 10 a.m. Friday. By 11 a.m. Jessica would be sitting in Marcus's office trying to explain why their biggest client of the year had walked out after 20 minutes. My phone buzzed. Text message from Beth. "Jessica has been in your office all day looking for files. She seems panicked." I typed back. "Files are on the server. She has access to everything," which was true. She had access to contracts, basic client information, standard presentation templates. What she didn't have was context. The human element that turned data into relationships. I poured another cup of coffee and opened a new document on my laptop, started typing my resignation letter. The formal one I should have submitted months ago. When I first realized what Jessica was doing, I stopped, deleted everything. Why make it easy for her? Instead, I opened my personal email and started reaching out to contacts at other biotech companies. People who had been trying to recruit me for years. By morning, I had 3 interview requests and 1 job offer. Helen woke up at 6 a.m. and found me still at the kitchen table, now dressed for the day. Going somewhere, she asked. Coffee shop downtown. Good Wi-Fi. Quiet place to make some calls. She kissed my forehead. Give them hell. I didn't plan to give anyone hell. I planned to let Jessica do that all by herself. Friday morning at 9:47 a.m. I was sitting in Brewster's Coffee House downtown when my phone started ringing. Jessica. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. By 10:15, she'd called 7 times. At 10:00:23, Beth called Randy. Where are you? The Hollowgate people are here, and Jessica is having a meltdown. She can't find the technical specifications they're asking for. They're in the system, I said, stirring my coffee. She says she's been up all night looking. Tell her to check the project folder under Hollowgate Systems, subsection Technical Requirements. Beth went quiet for a moment. Randy, she says that folder is empty, except for basic contact information. I almost smiled. That's because the technical specs were never digitized. They're in my notebook, the blue one that lived on my desk, the one you took home yesterday, the one I took home yesterday. Beth was quiet for a long moment. They're asking for you specifically. The CTO said he was looking forward to discussing the sensor calibration protocols you developed. Wish I could help. At 10:45, Marcus called the CEO himself. Randy, I need you to come in. There's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I was terminated yesterday, effective immediately. I believe Jessica said, we can work this out. Maybe Jessica was hasty. Maybe she was. But I'm not an employee anymore, Marcus. I can't legally represent Brimvale in client meetings as a consultant, then name your rate. I'm not available. Which was true. I had a phone interview with Driftshade Limited at 2 p.m. Their VP of Business Development had called personally after receiving my resume that morning. By 11:30, according to Beth texts, the Hollowgate team had left. They'd given Jessica 20 minutes to produce the technical documentation they'd specifically requested. When she couldn't deliver, they'd politely excused themselves and said they'd reassess their options. Jessica called again at noon. This time I answered, Randy, you have to help me. This is sabotage. This is consequences. I can report you for corporate sabotage, withholding company information. What information? I removed personal belongings from my office. The notebooks were mine. I bought them with my own money. All official company files remain on the server. That's not how this works. Actually, it's exactly how it works. I was terminated without cause and without notice. Brimvale forfeited any claim to my cooperation. She hung up. 10 minutes later, security called asking me to return my company notebooks.